Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? Grab your coffee, maybe a snack or two, and let's get into it. First, let me say I'm sorry about the late upload. I was on the phone with a very good friend of mine. You know her, you've seen her in the comment section as JKCO. We were on the phone for, oh my gosh, a good hour and a half, and we were talking about something that's in the works for you guys, okay? And it's going to be very special video. So, I just wanted to tell you that that's why I'm kind of late. But, so we have a great deal of things to talk about today, okay? And the first thing that I want to discuss is, what I have more details on the DEF crisis, okay, and fertilizer, all right, and DEF, has to deal with diesel, okay. Now, this is not good, all right, and this is something that we should all pay attention to, especially if you have a car or truck that runs on diesel, okay. Also, if you're a truck driver, for truckers, okay, if we have truckers in our families, whatever the case may be. All right. So also, this is also going to put a kink in the supply chain, even more so than it already is. All right. So first, do you even know what DEF is? Okay. Now, if we have any mechanics in the house, raise your hand. Okay. It is diesel exhaust fluid. Okay. Every diesel truck that has been made since 2010 is required to use it. All right. It's a product that is made of 67% of urea, and that's UREA, fertilizer, and 33% distilled water. Every diesel truck you see driving down the road, whether on the East Coast here, we have I-95, right? So, if you're traveling long distances and you know how you're traveling down I-95 and, you're trying to stay in your lane while these guys are running past you, all right. They have to have this product in order to drive those big 18-wheelers. The engines will not start without it. There are regulators inside the engine that mix DEF with the diesel to reduce diesel emissions, and that's the purpose of DEF. But right now, Russia is the largest exporter of urea by a wide margin. Qatar, and that's QATAR, is second. Egypt and China are tied for third. Both Russia and China have decided to no longer export this product. Okay. And on top of that, India is the largest manufacturer of urea in the world, even though they consume most of what they make. And what little they would export, they no longer do. They are now stopping the exportation of any and all urea, minus a deal they just cut with Sri Lanka. So what does this mean for you and me and our country? Well, first, the U.S. imports most of its urea fertilizer. We are the third largest importer in the entire world. We depend on other countries to eat, drive, and ship our products. Secondly, the Flying J. You've heard of the Flying J. Okay, there's been videos out and about the Flying J. Okay. They are the largest service provider for truckers around the U.S. And I'm sure you've seen their massive gas stations, okay, when traveling around the country. And the Flying J, they get 70% of their DEF fluid from shipments via Union Pacific Railroad. Now, UP, or Union Pacific, has single user access to the fertilizer plants that urea DEF fluid comes from. And no other rail provider has access to these distribution points. Now this means that the Flying J can't just go around Union Pacific, and Union Pacific is in charge here for a reason that will be mentioned here, okay? Now the Flying J provides 30% of all DEF consumed in the U.S. And UP has told Flying J to reduce their shipments by a whopping 50%. And if they do not comply, then they will be completely embargoed. And that would, in effect, bankrupt the Flying J. This means that 15% of all DEF consumed by truckers in the U.S. is no longer available at the largest travel center for the entire trucking industry. Now, Rome, as you know, it rotted from the inside out. It was easily invaded because it was occupied by internal problems. It appears a trigger has been discovered, which is DEF fluid. And if this holds up, DEF shortages will be the catalyst that causes the food shortages in the next coming months. So not only is there a shortage of fertilizer to grow crops in especially drought-stricken states, okay, so primarily out west. But now it looks like unless the federal government intervenes via the Defense Production Act, which I don't think anybody is confident that they will anymore, there is going to be absolute massive shortage of trucking in the next coming months. And I think, when was it that I had said this, or we had discussed this about a week or so ago, that once diesel reaches, what is it, $8 a gallon, then that's when, you know, especially independent truckers, they're going to stop delivering goods to stores, because especially independent truckers, they can't afford that. Can you imagine? Because that money comes out of their own pockets. And now this, okay? So these things go hand in hand here, especially when we have independent truckers, okay? So there simply isn't going to be enough DEF fluid sufficient to keep these engines running and moving. Home Depot is now limiting the amount of DEF fluid that you can buy in their stores, all right? And I would think long and hard about decisions that you're making right now, where you live, what you spend your money on, how you prepare. This is real, and it's so real that the CEO of the Flying J was summoned to a Surface Transportation Board hearing to give them all the information that he had. And BlackRock, we've all heard of BlackRock, right? And Vanguard, and you know what I mean. BlackRock is the majority shareholder in Union Pacific Railroad. And why is that important? Well, America's biggest fertilizer producer is CF Industries. We've spoken about them before. And their largest shareholder is BlackRock. And BlackRock controls the fertilizer industry in the U.S. And Union Pacific has exclusive rights to distribution points of fertilizer. Urea is fertilizer. And the Flying J needs urea. They need DEF. And BlackRock is controlling everything. Now, the chairman of BlackRock is Tom Donilon, and that's Donilon. President Obama's former national security advisor. Now, Donilon's brother, Mike Donilon, is senior advisor to, drumroll please, Data. Now, Tom's wife, Catherine Russell, is the White House personal director. Do you see where this is all tying in together here? Okay? Now, Tom Donilon's daughter, Sarah, with an H, who graduated college in 2019, now works on the White House National Security Council. It appears to me and everyone else that BlackRock is spearheading the dismantling of the U.S. system on behalf of globalists. So, that, my friends, is holy cow. Okay? So now, here, wow, Jen, okay. Here is something, okay. Trish and I were having an extensive conversation last night. All right. And, you know, Trish and I, when we have conversations, I mean, you want to talk about, you know, detail. All right. And for those of you who are new here and you don't know who Trish is or whatever, okay, she is my best friend. She is a retired international banker and she's also a day trader. And she works for Goldman Sachs. I mean, she's, you know, and yes, she knows about the fire at Goldman Sachs, so don't ask. She's, you know, she's a smart cookie, you know, and she's also one of us. So, she texted me last night at 9:30 last night, and she's like, hey, she said, you ready for price controls? And I said, all right, explain. She said, these people are not fools. They know that prior to this next election, they must add price controls. And she said, in order to control inflation. If they don't, this administration is sunk. If they do, the problem now becomes a shortage. And I don't mean a regular shortage. And I said, so will prices go down or remain the same? She said, oil and fuel will be the next shortages if they force into price controls. And I said, well, we're already seeing shortages with oil and gas, but I'm guessing it's going to get a lot worse, huh? She said, well, because there will be shortages, everything will increase in price. Oil first, gas second, energy third, and then food. If they insert price controls, it will have the exact opposite effect of what they want. And I said, and this will happen after they win November's, I said, if they win, I said, or if they're even going to be in November elections, And she said, this will happen much earlier. Because let's say you're the maker of cereal and your name is Kellogg. If you were told you could only sell your product for $2 a box, you would make fewer boxes of cereal, because when there's a higher demand of cereal, but fewer boxes of cereal, the price must then increase, aka supply and demand. So if they initiate price controls on oil and gas, then there will be less oil available because it will be held, and therefore there will be less gas as a result. He is currently being advised to initiate price controls. The president has the ability to control the price up or down with regard to oil, gas, and energy. He cannot do this with food, except to the extent that if he does it with oil and gas, that will actually control the food as well with regard to the distribution of it. In other words, Kellogg's can make all the cereal they want, but they will not be able to distribute it. I said, so more shortages, higher prices, so stock up on oil, gas as much as we can, then stock up on ways to heat and cool our homes and cook our food, then stock up on food. Can't do it all together unless you're Rockefeller. She said, right. Skip all of that, just stock up on food. I said, right on. I said, Kroger.com, here I come, laugh out loud. And then she said, you know that mega tsunami that we were being threatened with on the east coast of La Palma? I said, yeah. She said, well, it's about to hit us, except this time there won't be enough water. This is the calm before the storm. And I said, joking around, I said, let me guess, climate change evaporated the water. She goes, take advantage of it. And I said, tsunamis just don't disappear. What happened to it, Hart? She said, the mega tsunami that I'm speaking of is the new shortage issue because of price controls. Fill in your gaps like never before. I said, okay, but first come down here and help me move Andrew's bed out of his room, because you know how I turned Andrew's old room into the pantry and to where I have a lot of my gardening stuff. And she said, don't worry about filling up cupboards, because I was telling her about something else. And she said, come over here. I will help you organize. She said, come over here and help me organize the basement first. Laugh out loud. And I was just like, because she's been trying to get me to come up there and help her in the basement. I said, no, you got to come here and help me in Andrew's room first. And then she said, price controls are next. And historically, when price controls were initiated, things always got much worse, having the opposite effect of what they intended, or was it? The last time they did this was Nixon's era, and we all know how that went. And I said, yay, can't wait. So that was a conversation that I had with Trish last night between 9:30 and 11:30 last night. So, it's just a little fun fact of what my conversations with Trish are like. So, and then what the heck? You just broke my phone. Not my cell phone, the house phone. Stormy bug. So on to this. Real quick, because I don't want this video to get too long. So before I go, the Tennessee Sheriff's Office is warning not to pick up dollar bills. It's folded money being found with fentanyl inside. And it can be absorbed into the body via inhalation, oral exposure, and indigestion, or skin contact, and small amount can kill anyone. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Talk about scary stuff, man. No kidding. And, all right. I'll most likely be putting out a second video, but my videos will probably be back to back because I do have a lot of stuff to talk about. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. You stay safe. You stay positive. You keep prepping. And as always, fearless.